What's going on, fellow A-Plusers? It's your host, Adam Perez, back once again with another review as we're going to get into Supergirl, Season 6, Episode number 11, Mxy in the Middle. That's right, I'm assuming it's a little bit of a pun off of Malcolm in the Middle, as we got Thomas Lennon reprising his role once again as Mr Mxyzptlk. Mr Mxy is what we're going to call him this week. But yeah, we saw Thomas Lennon certainly pop up towards the finale, or towards the end of the episode last week. So definitely a touch of humor, to say the least. Anytime Thomas Lennon gets involved, whether that be as Mr. Mxy or just himself and almost anything else that he certainly does, he always brings a great sense of comedy to the episode. Maybe a little bit too odd for some people, but I think if you've known Thomas Lennon for quite some time, you know the type of humor that he certainly brings. So we had some really great moments. I gotta say, the song rendition of Nixie's history, I actually thought was rather creative. I mean, it's a very catchy tune. A lot of people already know that song. To be able to tell an entire story, rhyming and stuff of Nixie using that same tune, I thought was actually pretty creative. I don't know if Thomas Lennon wrote that himself, but whoever wrote it, fantastic work. Like, I actually loved it. And of course, while it certainly might have been cringe for some people or make some people just laugh, it certainly made me smile for sure. The idea of Thomas Lennon being able to just break out into song like that just so randomly, I absolutely love that type of stuff and eat it up. So like, I do wonder like what it was like for the cast members on set with Thomas having to, you know, do that performance. Like, I wonder how many takes it took and just how many times they had to sort of keep a straight face through some of it. You know what I mean? It looked like a pretty good time on the set, to say the least. But I gotta say, you know, for me, I enjoyed the change of pace finally in this episode. I feel like after 3 really slow episodes that built more on character development, maybe leading us to this particular episode and the one that we're going to be getting next week, it definitely has been a build up to these big character moments. The pacing finally picking things up, giving us some action, giving us you know, an injection of humor, really made this episode rather enjoyable for me, honestly. So and then of course, anytime you add the imps that you have involved in here, again, Thomas Lennon certainly bringing the humor. If there was sort of any cringe moment that I personally had, it had to be the gigantic blue cat that we wind up having, right? And again, that kind of goes hands in hand with the imps. It's always going to be a little bit weird, a little bit wacky, a little bit off the top, a little bit lighthearted to a certain extent. So the fact that we got a gigantic big cat did leave me scratching my head, and I was like, I don't know how I feel about this, right? Like, really cool dragon towards the end. I love that they're able to kind of bring that to life, if you will. But facing off against a cat, not that terrifying. Like, I feel like we could have come up with a lot cooler animals to certainly use, or whatever the case may be, for them to have some pushback. But again, imps, you know, what can I say? But other than that, I really enjoyed the pacing and things like that this week. So I'm really actually pretty excited to see where the remainder of this season goes, now that we sort of have that MacGuffin of, you know, like an object or several objects that we have to go and hunt down and go on adventures for right before Nixie sort of picks them up. It should be rather fun to kind of see where the team goes, what sort of obstacles are going to get in their way, how many more times will they bump into Nixie before, you know, the finale sort of thing. And I really have kind of enjoyed how they've built up Nixie as what seems to be the main villain for the remainder of this season so far, really taking their opportunity and time early on in season 1 to give her that interaction with Supergirl, when you kind of think at first she's a nobody and then just this innocent imp sort of thing, and really building up that moment to the finale of mid-season, the mid-season finale we wind up getting, and seeing how far she certainly has come in here. I think she actually makes for a pretty formidable foe for Supergirl. And I think the idea that she's been around Supergirl and they've shared such a experience together inside the Phantom Zone, there is a hint of, you know, a personal touch that goes with your main villain when it comes to her relationship with Supergirl. So like, the idea of Supergirl, again, I think one of the lessons she's kind of been learning so far this season is maybe I should try using my voice a little bit more, right? Like, instead of punching things and, you know, violence or whatever whatever the case may be, just maybe understanding the importance that her voice certainly brings, right? Trying to talk people off the edge or get people from doing things that they certainly don't want to. I love the fact that we get to see, we've seen that so far building in this second half of the season, but to see her initiate it also, right? Like the idea, last thing she wants to do is have to send Nixie back to the Phantom Zone. She knows what that can certainly feel like and do to people. So the fact that she uses her voice instead to kind of talk Nixie off the ledge, I kind of appreciated it, because that's really been one of the themes of this season so far. But clearly getting to see that Nixie's just kind of so far gone and really wanting revenge and wanting to reclaim the power that she feels is certainly rightfully hers. So I really enjoy what Nixie definitely brings to this particular season, and I think also the connection that she has with Mxyzptlk. I love the idea that, you know, he was going to turn his back on the king also, and then last minute sort of ditched when things got difficult, right? When he was supposed to be her ally. So I do love that there's also like an added history between those two imps as well. I think it just adds a little bit, again, a little bit more personal touch to the Nixie storyline. But impressed, man. I really have enjoyed it, with the exception of, like I said, the little cringe-worthy moments also. And then of course even Mxyzptlk, like the idea that, you know, there's almost like a little running story arc for him of having to prove his, you know, that he's not worthless, you know. People talking behind his back saying, oh man, what good is he if he doesn't got his magic? Like that's fucked up, John. That's fucked up. But homeboy heard you. You know what I mean? That makes it even worse. But I do love the fact that you know, this is him really proving himself, knowing that he did wrong, that he certainly has made his mistakes, sacrificing himself anyway to not only be captured, but he at least does his part and at least getting those power dampeners on Nixie. So he certainly came through in here. So shout out to Tom Lennon for a great cameo, or guest star, I should say, in this week's episode. Nia's dealing with the idea of sort of blaming herself for everything that's happening, which we understand, right? I mean, we just talked about it last week about the idea, like, you know what, Nia, for like what you bargained, like you really got the short end of the stick. Like I feel like after that meeting with her mom, she should have been like 100% ready to go, you know what I'm saying? But she's still at that point of doubting her dreams, not sure what she's seen, sort of thing. You know, again, I guess it is a lot of the guilt sort of eating her up inside. So I was just really hoping that the encounter with her mom would give her a little bit more confidence. But maybe now that she's shed some of that guilt, or at least gotten some of that that talk out of the way with Kara, maybe she will feel a little bit more confident about herself, certainly going forward. But I did at least enjoy the moment. Like, I appreciate Brainy being the good boyfriend and saying, listen, just confront Kara about it, right? Like, if there's anybody that would certainly know, it's definitely Kara, knowing what the situation is certainly like. So I'm glad that Nia certainly manned up. And see, it's like ripping a Band-Aid off. Like, you just do it, and it's Supergirl. Like, she's not going to get mad at you, man. Like, if anything, she'll certainly relate. And I will say this, it's so funny. I laughed when this moment actually happened. But last week, the one thing that I complained about, I was like, Kara, how do you not tell people what happened to you in the Phantom Zone? Like, I know the fact that you didn't think that she was going to come back, but the idea of, you know, I was just in the Phantom Zone forever. Did like nobody want to talk about it? Did like nobody want to bring up bad memories or ask her? Like, I would have needed a full debriefing. Like, what happened to you in the Phantom Zone? And she didn't say anything. And I was a little upset. I'm like, how do you just not let your friends know this type of stuff? So that when Dreamer, like, granted, you don't know if she's going to bump into Nixie ever, but they should be made aware of this stuff. So the fact that in this episode, Kara says, I know, I should have told you guys. But I was like, dude, did she just hear me? Like, the fact that she literally addressed it in the next episode, I thought was fantastic. She's like, well, I just didn't think I would ever see her again, despite, you know, the circumstances and how, you know, they wind up escaping the Phantom Zone. I get it, but still, like, girl, you're a superhero. Your sister's a part of the DEO. You know, John's right there as the Martian Manhunter and stuff. Like, he ran the DEO for a while. Like, if there's anybody that believes in like a debrief and getting intelligence, it's these two. So it felt a little bit out of character that she didn't say anything. So the fact that she addressed it, it kind of made it okay for me in this episode. Like, okay, I get it. Thanks for telling me, Kara. I had a problem with it, but you cleared the air, so thank you for that. So yeah, I am fascinated to continue to see the growth of Nia, and how she's gonna handle just the stuff that she did learn, or the advice I should say, from her mom. And I'm glad that she's got a man like Brainiac in her corner, which looked great without the with the green face this time around, going to his alien form. And last but not least, you know, guys, I don't know how to feel about this. The Lena Luthor situation. You know, Lena's trying to go back home, reconnect, and learn more about her family, especially her mom. We know that she was given up for adoption, if you will, eventually wind up, I believe, living with the Luthors after her mom had passed. But she didn't really know too much about her mom, right? It's always been very shrouded in mystery. But this season has really been building up on the arcs of Nia reconnecting with her mom, and clearly Lena reconnecting with her mom's history. So in this episode, we see her going back to what is it, Amsterdam? No, I can't remember exactly where. Newfoundland or some shit like that. I can't remember what it was where she went to. But she went back to go ahead and, based off of an old photo, one person that she knew that was in fact one of her mom's best friends or something like that her mom knew. The other lady, she wind up actually having the Super Friends locate her for her. So she was able to locate her in this episode. But the fact of Lena Luthor running into old history, and discovering the fact that her mom was a witch and was sort of being blamed for what happened to somebody's mother or one of the citizens in this particular town, sort of thing, it felt very Salem to me. You know what I mean? The idea of like, you know, witches hiding among us. She was discovered, you know, when her and her three friends, you know, were, I think they, who was trying to remember what the situation was. Lena's mother's friend was getting abused by her husband, and nobody believed that he could abuse his wife because of the fact that, like, everybody loved this guy. And so again, eventually he went a little bit too far, and Lena's mom, her friends, wind up killing this dude. And I guess the town wind up believing that it was just Lena's mom that wind up like killing them and things like that. And so it was this big hoopla around the city, like the town, like nobody wanted Lena around whatsoever. So so not only did we find out that Lena's mom was a witch, but now her friend, that the second friend that she winds up locating, is now telling her, "You're a witch too, Harry." You know, and I'm thinking to myself, what? Lena's a witch? Now listen, I don't know if Lena Luthor is in the comic books or not. Like, I apologize, guys. Like, I don't read Supergirl or follow, you know, Superman storylines too much. I mean, the big Superman storylines I usually follow, but I never see a Lena Luthor. So I can't remember if Lena Luthor was created just for television, if there was a Lena Luthor in the comic books, whatever the case may be. If there is a connection to the comic books with Lena Luthor, it's non-existent to me. I have no idea, okay? So when I say this, don't at me and be mad when I say this, but I would love some education if you guys are familiar. I don't know how I feel about the idea of Lena potentially being a witch. It almost feels like great if that's the character arc that you originally planned, like all along. But like, if you're just trying to give people powers now to just truly make everybody on this team like legit superheroes, to be like, well, they are called the Super Friends, we should make everybody a superhero. I don't know if that's the way to go with Lena. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you guys actually like the idea of Lena being a witch. Now, whether or not she's going to go ahead and actually decide to use them, right? Because the lady did mention, like, hey, the abilities are there if you want to learn them. You know what I mean? So I'm assuming they've certainly been passed down. But Lena, clearly, being the scientist that she is, probably isn't aware that maybe she's tapping into magic from time to time and she's not aware of it. Or really just has no connection to it and needs to learn it. So it'll be interesting to see the direction they go with Lena. Like, I kind of dig the idea of Lena Luthor being the scientist that adds a level, I don't want to say a level of humanity, because Alex is human also, but I like the idea of not everybody being heroes, but still being like superheroes, but still being able to contribute in some fashion or another, right? So I hope Lena doesn't start down, like by the season finale, Lena's like the fucking Scarlet Witch helping Supergirl out and shit with the hand signs and stuff. Like, I hope it doesn't get to that point. You know, like, maybe again, if she's like that in the comics, that's cool. But just based off of me watching over the past 6 seasons, look, you're already giving Kelly the guardianship, which I think is awesome enough, right? Like, she does have experience in the army, if I'm not mistaken. You know, Alex is clearly sort of training her. James Olsen is her brother. I get it. I can see that happening. But then just to throw witch powers on Lena, again, this is me just speculating, not knowing what direction that they go. I'm just saying, if they go the direction of Lena all of a sudden, like doing hex spells and fucking signals and shit on the screen, no, like, let's not go that far. Mixing, you know, maybe she's got a big pot that she's like casting spells in. I don't need all that. So again, we'll see. Maybe she doesn't do any of that, and I'm just assuming the worst, but we'll see the direction. I mean, cool story. I'm a sucker for flashbacks and lore building, and like the idea of discovering that there's this whole history about your family you don't know. Cool concept, but if it's leading to the idea that every super friend is now gonna have like a big superhero party because they all got powers and abilities and stuff, I don't know if I feel that way. I just like the humanity that's still attached to this team to a certain extent. You know what I mean? So we'll see what happens. But I did find the Lena stuff rather interesting. But great change of pace. Looking forward to next week's episode. I truly am. It looks like it's going to be another fun one. We're definitely going to get Kelly in her guardianship. I mean, have you seen the previews? She looks great. I cannot wait for like more exclusive photos this week to drop to like hype up the episode to get ready for Kelly as Guardian. But with this being Supergirl's last season, I am kind of curious to see like how much promotion CW is actually going to go ahead and put towards this premiere. They did go ahead and drop a really fire official photo of her, but I do wonder if we'll get like some actual official photo stills to get us hyped for the return of, or the new debut of, the Guardian. So should be fun the remainder of the way, guys. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that Supergirl can keep this momentum from this season, from this particular episode, and keep building upon it, guys. But listen, at the end of the day, these are just simply my A+ opinions. I definitely want to go ahead and know yours, guys. So listen, if there's any character moments that I miss, character development, storyline details that you guys want to further explore and talk about, please go ahead and do so in the comment section box below, because I definitely want to know your guys' thoughts. But until next week, other than that, guys, that's going to do it for me here, but I'll certainly see you next time. And until then, do me a big favor, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and as always, keep it A+. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. If you enjoy our content and want to be a part of helping our channel grow, become a patron supporter. We have affordable tiers to choose from that offer a variety of exclusive and early access content, from audio files for all of our shows for you to enjoy on the road, access to our Discord community, and plenty of reactions, reviews, character breakdowns, and more. Check us out at patreon.com/A+opinions, and as always, remember, like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so anytime we drop a brand new video, you will be notified.